Hey, everybody, welcome to Pop Go the Writers. It is episode 64. And I know we weren't here last week, and I'll explain that in a minute, but.
Well, says you. I was here. We had a hell of a show, man. I'm telling you.
How you doing, sir?
I'm doing just fine. How are you doing?
I'm back. I'm here.
Okay, I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, it's been quite an adventure. I was sick most of the month of June. I got sick on the 2nd and pretty much was fighting it for 3 weeks and thought, okay, I'm finally getting better. And the next day ended up in the emergency room and spent 4 days in the hospital. Just got out yesterday. I'm still on an IV.
Wow.
So really, really, really bad infection.
No.
Yeah, and I'm a large guy. I'm 6'6", and I'm guessing my hospital doesn't know what tall people are because they didn't have a bed. Put this way, when I laid in the bed, the end of the bed hit me in the calf.
Jeez. They don't have extensions or anything?
Nope. So they tried to bring in another bed, and for some reason they brought in one with an air mattress, and basically it would inflate. I would get on and it would go.
It sounds like a comedy of errors, Dan.
It was, and I'm beaten to hell. I mean, you got this from the IV, you got that mark.
Poked and prodded.
Like I didn't even see that one. My mom pointed it out.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm pretty beaten up. So,
okay. Well, but you're here, right? Like you said.
I'm here. I'm feeling better than I have all month.
Good.
I actually spent some of the afternoon writing today. I've got a project that has to be done. Besides another project that my editor was so kind to give me an extension on without having to ask, telling me, oh, other people need an extension. So
it's all for you, Damien. It's all for you.
But yeah, so it felt good just sitting and writing today. But I got home yesterday after 4 days of torture, and I say torture at the hospital, but my God, some of the nicest people. Good. You're there. You are at your worst. I couldn't really lay in the bed, so I found myself at 2, 3, 4 in the morning sitting on the side of the bed with a sheet and a blanket wrapped around me. I've got my hair is down, my beard, I haven't shaven. So I look like a homeless guy sitting on the edge of the bed, and these nurses are just coming in, checking on me regularly.
Yeah. Well, good. That's what it's all about.
Yep. And one particular, a woman with an odd name. Her name is Glaren. Like if you take Karen and Glare and put it together, Glaren. But she was probably the nicest person I've met in a long time. And when she realized that I basically had gone 3 days without any real sleep and that I would probably be doing better at home than at the hospital, she busted her ass for a couple hours to get me out the door. So I appreciate everybody over there. That's
well, just so you know, Glaren seems to be from Middle English, and it means to shine brightly or glitter.
Okay, then yes, she was just this positive light. So much better name than I thought. I just thought of the term Karen and them glaring at you.
No, it's actually a good thing.
But I figure after 4 days of torture, I would treat myself by watching Morbius last night.
Oh, yeah, I did see that. And then that made you feel worse, right?
No, actually, I didn't think it was that bad. It's not great.
Well, you need to go back to the hospital, Dave.
Yeah, I don't know what they're pumping into me, man, but I saw Morbius and I liked it. So
Okay. If I was you, I could never watch anything like that after just being in the hospital. A guy who has a blood disease and everything. It's like, shit, didn't we just leave all this stuff?
it seemed appropriate to me.
Yeah, oh, okay. Well,
I thought, hey, maybe at the end of this I'll look like Jared Leto. Who knows?
to each their own. To each their own. But I hopefully those other TV shows made you feel better.
Well, now see again, I want to defend Morbius for a minute.
Okay, please do. Please do.
Because there has been nothing but just horrible hatred. Mm-hmm. And I'll say the problem with Morbius is that first trailer that came out had so many references to Marvel movies and stuff like that. And I'd say a big chunk of that trailer never appears in the movie.
Yeah.
It's like somebody came along and re-edited. And what they edited...
I bet you that's exactly what it is.
Yeah. But what they edited down to was the equivalent of a pre-MCU Marvel movie. Mm-hmm. This is right on par with the Ben Affleck Daredevil, and I'll be kind, the director's cut. Mm-hmm. The first Ghost Rider movie. Mm-hmm. Blade. Mm-hmm. It's all in that type of genre. It's a straightforward story. Mm-hmm. It's got pretty decent special effects. You've got an over-the-top villain. I watched it and I went, I wouldn't rush out to see it again. Mm-hmm. But my ex-wife has been wanting to see it and wants to come over and watch it. I'll happily sit down and watch it again because it's not a bad movie. But I think people were so teased by that first trailer.
Yeah.
That if it had that not come out, then I think expectations would have been different. Now, there's 2 post-credit scenes.
Right.
And one of them is pretty cool. Mm-hmm. And I think we're far enough away that I can say what it is without...
I think so.
Yeah.
I would like to think so.
Yeah. The first one is Adrian Toomes, Michael Keaton, just shows up in a prison cell, and he kind of looks around, and he realizes he's not where he was. Mm-hmm. He goes, I hope the food's better in this place. And it's what they're telling us is, okay, so at the end of Spider-Man Far From Home, or No Way Home, when they brought the worlds together, some things got shifted.
Yes, right.
I was fine with it. And
just
I thought
just like Venom got shifted around.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
But then they tack on another scene where Morbius and Vulture meet, and they talk about teaming up. And it's like, okay, that's forced as hell and doesn't make any sense. So dropping that scene, I have no problem with the movie. Like I said, it's not.
It sounds like it used to have more connections to the MCU, and then somebody pulled it back, and then at the end of that, they said, "Oh, we better put a little bit more into it than that."
Yeah, yeah. But overall, it's on par with the Venom movies. Mm-hmm. If you like the Venom movies, you're going to like this one. Mm-hmm. It's an interesting character. They do a nice setup. And like I said, Matt Smith is kind of fun in it. There's a bunch of 11 references to it. With him being the 11th Doctor, there's a bunch of 11s. And, Jared Leto, he's not as crazy as he was when he was a Joker. It's
not as crazy.
Yeah, I kind of liked the movie.
And we'll never see anything of it ever again. Probably.
No, I have a feeling they're going to do more.
Yeah.
So, but yeah. So if you're not seeing if you're not going to see it because, oh my God, I've heard all these bad reviews. Mm-hmm. I think the reviews are based on the expectations that were created by the trailer.
Sure. And we all know that expectations are the killer, are the mind killer.
Yeah. All right, I think that's enough time on Morbius, but
let's talk about all the expectations for Star Wars.
Yeah. But before we do, I love the posters on your wall.
Thank you. I've had them before. Here, there's there we go. Dracula's Daughter, Bride of Frankenstein, and
The
Black
Black
Cat.
Cat, nice. I got to see. They were doing one of those where they take the old movies, they put them back in the theater,
Yeah,
and I saw a double feature of Frankenstein and Bride of Frankenstein,
yeah.
which was great. And then I also got a chance to see the creature from the Black Lagoon that way.
Wow, in
And
3D.
yes,
Yeah, wonderful.
and Rex Chapman,
Hmm.
the guy that played the monster on land.
Yes.
Yeah, he was there, and I got a bunch of stuff signed by him. My ex and I had a collage wall of all the stuff we got. It was cool.
Cool.
So, all right. So we have Miss Marvel and Kenobi to talk about. Since Kenobi is the one that ended,
Hmm.
so this will be our final discussion. Let's go ahead and jump into Kenobi.
I don't remember what we've all, what we talked about and what episodes we haven't talked about.
We talked through episode 4, 5, and 6. We hadn't got. So we talked about the getting out in the trench coat.
Okay.
So, what did you think of 5 and the eventual conclusion?
I'm all good with everything. I'm a simple sort. I watch stuff and I either enjoy it or don't enjoy it, and I enjoyed it. And I think one of the things that I enjoyed is that it didn't fulfill most of my fears or concerns about what it is. In the end, it still is more or less shoehorned but it did it in in a good way. I like the way it ended, and the performances were good, and I hope they never ever do it again. They need to just stop. There needs to be no Obi-Wan season 2 or anything like that at all. I can see where one of the main characters could end up somewhere else, and that's okay with me because I think there's a story there. But otherwise, there were things that happened in the last 2 episodes that I assumed would happen, and that was fulfilled. And then there was a few, there was a few little surprises too.
I'm pretty much on the same page with you. I thought episode 5 was really good. I thought the way they handled the confrontation, and yes, we all knew that Riva was going to be one of the younglings, but when they did tell us about it, it didn't feel like no duh, because we were kind of in the moment when it happened. So I don't think this was brilliant writing, but I think it was connecting a lot of good dots.
Yeah, very much so. That might be a slight regret for me that Ewan didn't get a few more meatier scenes, that really showed off his acting. I mean, there's not a lot of extended dialogue, for the most part, or things that demanded a lot more in-depth acting. But I like that Riva turned out to be, one of the younglings, which we kind of always expected it to be that way. But when you really sit and think about what she did to get to where she was when we first meet her, and then continue to keep doing, and really because she wanted revenge for her friends. Her friends were slaughtered or whatever, but so she became a monster to be able to kill a monster.
Yeah, I mean, she was basically on the path to being a Sith.
Yeah, definitely.
But when it came to,
and it made me wonder if in a way they were trying to say that she was like sort of like a junior Anakin, as far as started off as a good person and then went to the dark side for what would normally be a good reason.
Mhm.
Anakin wanted to save everybody, save Padme, and and all of that, and then Reva wanted justice for the people, the kids around her who were slaughtered. I get that. And then Obi-Wan's just sort of in the middle, of all of this. I was really impressed by the fight between Reva and Vader. Maybe even more than the final battle between Vader and Obi-Wan.
It was up there.
Yeah,
I think I would still lean towards the Vader Kenobi fight,
yeah.
but it was.
The Reva and Vader thing. I saw somebody say something about it, and hopefully this will be okay to repeat this or whatever. They said after all it was said and done, basically that whole fight was Vader just saying, "Bitch, please." I
Was.
mean,
It was.
it's wonderful that he never once touches his own lightsaber.
Yeah.
Just the literal, like, nope, back, nope, back, nope, you're not going to do that. Back,
He stopped a starship.
Not a very big one, but sure. Yeah, I mean, I assume he can do even more than that.
Yeah.
That was, a little bit of a groaner that there, that was like the Chewbacca wasn't on that transport thing.
Yeah.
Oh, there's another ship. There, without even necessarily a hint of it. No, like it literally, that was a Deus Ex Machina, completely right there. But
Well, I think we see the two ships when they get there.
Do we? Okay. I tell you, I am looking forward to sitting down and rewatching Obi-Wan. That's definitely one I want to, maybe even watch all at once.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought I really liked that scene because it was we basically saw Ben Kenobi return to being Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Over a period of time, yes.
Yeah. Ben was disconnected from the Force, hiding out on Tatooine, and we watched him kind of reconnect over his desire to save Leia.
Yes.
And it needed to be something that strong for him to reconnect, to get past the betrayal and the sense of failure that he was fighting off.
Yeah. It's again, maybe it's at the very end, the question of why doesn't Obi-Wan just kill Vader? But and the answer, it has to be a real world answer, is because he can't, because Vader has to be in a New Hope and everything else after that. My in-universe explanation is along the lines of he figures that being Vader is punishment enough, even though Vader goes on to kill a whole bunch more people.
Yeah.
But we we got more of Hayden. If anything, Hayden probably had more to do in a way, that he had to be young Anakin, more or less good Anakin. He had to be Vader. He had to be a combination of Vader and Anakin. I was really impressed with the going back and forth between James Earl Jones's voice and Hayden's voice, and then that overlapping of them. That was really done very well, I thought.
It was. And I thought the earlier fight scene where we flash back, to young Hayden and Space Jesus version of Kenobi, and I thought that was really well done. Every once in a while, you could see the age in their faces.
Yes, and
and I don't know if I ever want it to be perfect. There's a point where it's like I like that they can de-age. Like when they did Michael Douglas and Ant-Man. That was like a little short scene. That was great.
Or Robert Downey Jr. at the beginning of
Civil War.
Civil War. I mean, I think maybe that one's one of the most amazing of them all.
Yeah.
That said, I haven't seen anybody talk about this at all. Is it just me, or why does the Emperor look so weird? Like, it's something about his eyes that they didn't do, that he didn't look right to me. And I'm so excited because I figured they had to have him in there somewhere. But it was almost as if Ian McDiarmid said, I don't really want to have the full like thing around my eyes or whatever. It was almost like it was Ian's real around his eyes and everything, and then kind of the rest of the stuff was Palpatine. But did that look weird to you at all?
I have to admit that I watched it about 3 hours before going to the emergency room.
Oh, okay.
So I may not have paid as close to attention, all of it.
Okay.
I just realized that yeah, I watched that, Miss Marvel, and about 2-3 hours later I went, I'm going to the hospital.
Well, go back and rewatch that, but don't think about what I just said. But if there's anybody out there that feels the same as me, I'd like to hear about that, please. It wasn't bad. It was just there was something like off about it. And I was so looking forward to Palpatine. Liam looked good.
Yes.
They did a really nice job, on him as far as de-aging or whatever.
But that was a nice brief scene, and he's standing there. That's why I think the fight scene was more difficult, because they're moving around so much to be able to de-age, and that's a lot of footage. So I think in short little things like that, they could do a great job.
Mm-hmm.
I love the fact that he popped up and didn't have a lot to say.
Mm-mm.
It was more that I was waiting for you. It took you. You know what? I love
so
that.
Long. Those damn Force ghosts are so snarky.
I love that Ben or Obi-Wan got to give Luke that toy, which we know he has in the beginning of A New Hope.
Yeah, and a hello there.
That was the other thing. That was the ultimate payoff.
Yeah, I had almost forgotten about all of that, and then you get it right at the end. Yeah, and that was a little bit of a surprise. That was a nice little surprise, actually. I guess I hadn't thought like, oh, he has not actually met Luke yet.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he showed up with him as an infant, then left.
And then, oh my God, it's like to finally get Bonnie, and I think it's Peace is the way her name is pronounced. To finally get her in there, and then Beru's a little bit of an ass kicker there.
Yes,
I mean that was great. She did a great job, and I said it before that I really thought Joel Edgerton did a really really good job with what he had to work with.
Oh yeah, I agree on both of those. I thought. I think there were some slow parts in the first 3 episodes, and there were some silly moments and stuff like that. But once the series got going, I thought it was awesome.
Yeah,
and I think the last couple episodes were just spot on.
They were very careful with the handling of Luke, which I really appreciated. He is told that it's a Tusken Raider problem. Whether or not he thinks that's what was chasing him, but he doesn't really ever get to see Reva clearly.
Right.
When she's on him, he's already unconscious, and he remains unconscious, which is, good. He doesn't see a lightsaber or anything like that at all. So, maybe they can write it off, as it was a Tusken Raider attack, or there was a rogue, Tusken Raider or something, like that. Leia, they got a little when Ben is talking to her about her parents, her real parents. I was actually sitting there going, now be careful what you say right here. I think maybe she got a little bit more information than I thought they should have done. Hey, here's a question for you. Where and when in Star Wars lore does the idea that she knows that she's adopted, does that begin in Return of the Jedi? When she says, my mother, my real mother?
I think so.
Okay.
That's the first time it's mentioned.
Yeah, it's an interesting choice, and I think about it from time to time, and especially during this. If that was Lucas's choice or whatever, is I mean, obviously, Luke knows that he is not Baru and Owen's son.
Yeah, they call him Uncle Brew and Aunt.
Yeah, right. So they maintain
Brew and
that,
Aunt.
but they could have very easily have told Leia that Bail and Breha were her parents, but they chose, not to go that route. I don't know. It was again, it's an interesting choice, and I kind of wonder if that really stems from that line of dialogue in Return of the Jedi.
Could be. I thought I found it interesting that really what this did was answer the question that a lot of people didn't realize they needed the answer to, of why would Leia and Han name their kid after someone they had never met, or barely knew.
Yeah, and that they weren't thinking of that. If that was J.J. Abrams or whoever, at that point, that they weren't thinking about that when they named, Ben.
Yeah.
So, well, here's another question: does this show successfully answer the question of why Vader says, "When I last left you, I was the learner. Now I am the master"? Does that answer to your satisfaction?
I don't think it messes it up. I think it shows. I think it shows an awareness that he has as Vader, which I think is there.
Mm-hmm.
That he doesn't have this point. So to me, that line is him realizing that he basically beat himself.
Mm-hmm.
His overeagerness, his insistence on having to win is what beat him. Yeah. And that even at that point, with how powerful he was still learning. Mm-hmm. So I think that's what it does. And so for me, it works.
Yeah. And then if you really think about it, it still adds a little bit of ego in there too, because he says, "When I last left you," Ben could have said, "Buddy, I left you behind twice now," but I thought it did okay, and I agree with you on that assessment. Yeah.
Yeah. Plus, it was nice to see Obi-Wan at his peak.
Yeah, with the rocks and everything.
Yes. Yeah, like
I wonder if Obi-Wan ever had been shown to be that powerful in the Force.
Not in any of the films or shows. It might have been in the comics or the books. Mm-hmm. Who knows what's canon anymore and what's not.
Right.
But yeah, I don't remember him ever being. I mean, even when you think about it, when we see him in in New Hope, he doesn't do much more than he did in Episode 4, throwing a sound, stuff like that, using the mind trick.
Yep.
He doesn't do any really overt, powerful things.
No, not really. Yeah, other than whatever strength it takes to fight Vader.
Yeah,
but you're right. And you know what? If you really want to get like Star Warsy about it, or fandom about it, he could have been reserving all of his strength in case he had to do the thing that he becomes one with the Force.
Yeah,
like he does at the end.
True. So, yeah, I thought that was I was very happy with the ending.
Mm-hmm.
I felt very satisfied by it. Good. And I don't get that a lot with these shows because usually, I've got my own ideas and stuff, and they kind of creep in, and it's like, what do you mean Sharon Carter's the power broker? That makes no sense. Why would you do that?
I just, for the most part, I watch stuff and I walk away and I either say I enjoyed it or I didn't enjoy it. Sometimes nitpicky things occur to me, but if they don't naturally occur to me, I don't tend to worry about them.
Yeah.
And what I have been trying not to do is then to watch or listen or read something later on and then have that put into my brain and then have it to start to affect my enjoyment that already exists. It's like
Yeah.
I walked away from the show feeling good about it, enjoying it, and I'm not really worrying about nitpicks. It didn't go a route that I had hoped that it wouldn't go, and I'm good with it.
All right, but I'm going to start the rumor now. Season 2, Darth Vader versus Mephisto.
And Kang.
Yes, yes.
No. Vader's like the Joker. Less is more.
Yes,
more.
I agree.
Less
I think if for some reason they decided to do a season 2, I would be okay with it if they did it away from Vader.
Yes. If they're going to do it, no Vader whatsoever. Give me You want to give me some kind of adventure on Tatooine? Just do it all on Tatooine with Ben. He rescues Luke from the desert. There's been EU stories like that where Luke gets lost in the desert and Ben brings him back. Do you want to do something like that? That's fine. I wouldn't mind that, but I would say don't even bring Reva into it.
Right.
Whether or not she is worthy enough to have her own series, I think that question is still unanswered at this moment. But I can see her ending up in some other show. And I suggested this earlier today to somebody that she could end up in Mandalorian.
She could have a Mandalorian. It'd be about 15 years later.
Yeah, at least 15, if not more like 17, 18, closer to 20.
Yeah, because they're what, 8 ABY?
That sounds right, yeah.
And Kenobi is 9 BBY, so it'd be 17 years.
Yeah. Because you know what? I could really see her at this point going out into the fringes of the galaxy to get away from the Inquisitors, or getting sensed at all by anybody who's Force sensitive, and going out there and finding out who she is and clear her mind and then decide what the hell she's going to do, if she's going to try for a path of redemption or whatever. But I could see her living way out in the fringes, and then that would be really interesting if there was an episode where she runs into a Mandalorian, like if she runs into Grogu and recognizes Grogu and he recognizes her.
Yeah.
I may just have figured this whole thing out. Huh?
Another place she could show up, it'd be a kind of an odd one, but timing wise, she could end up in the second Jedi Fallen Order game.
Okay.
Because that takes place, the second one's going to be set right at this time, and they deal with the Inquisitors in that. That's where a lot of these Inquisitors come from.
Yeah, right.
So having a former Inquisitor hook up with Cal Kestis could make an interesting story too.
Yeah.
Or there's that new series, The Acolyte, they're talking about. We know very little about it. It could be her.
Mm-hmm. I guess I thought that was earlier. I don't know.
Yeah,
maybe that's all.
That was supposed to be part of the, what are they calling that? That way in the future, like 100 years prior.
Oh, High Republic?
Yeah. So, but yeah, I thought Kenobi was very satisfying.
Good.
I enjoyed it, and it's probably, I could definitely see sitting down and rewatching the whole thing again.
I think I'm going to enjoy it, maybe even a little more once I do that.
Yeah. And I really do just enjoy watching Ewan McGregor work.
Mm-hmm.
I've always enjoyed him as an actor. Mm-hmm. And I mean, Moulin Rouge, to just about anything I've seen him in, he's always been great.
Mm-hmm.
So
effortless.
Right? Yeah. And the way he just put back on the Kenobi skin and, put back the Alec Guinness in his voice, And that's funny, too, that he actually does basically imitate Alec Guinness.
Yes. Yeah. I had not seen it before because I didn't do the animated shows. Somebody showed me the clip of it's from Rebels, I believe, where Darth Maul confronts Ben out in the desert.
Uh-huh.
Whoever does the voice of Ben there is also really good at Alec Guinness's voice. I don't know who that was, but I was really struck by that he could actually give whoever that is could have given Ewan a run for his money. Yeah, it was really really good.
Yeah, that's and Alec Guinness had such a unique voice that
Yes, very much so.
So I forget just how much that first movie affected me when I saw it, and just how all of those actors became larger than life for me at that age. And Alec Guinness, basically I'd be flipping channels. Alec Guinness is in this movie, and I'd be watching it. It's like, oh, I'm watching Bridge on the River Kwai.
You're an Alec Guinness fan, right?
Yeah.
I mean, as a 12-year-old, I had no idea who Alec Guinness was, before that. But and so it was nice because I was totally invested in this guy named Obi-Wan Kenobi. It wasn't like, oh, there's Alec Guinness as this guy called Obi-Wan Kenobi. I think I was aware of who Peter Cushing was, but not Alec Guinness.
I wasn't, but I was 7, so I didn't. But it gave me an interest in the Hammer films.
Yeah.
And I became a huge fan of the Hammer horror films.
Isn't that great? If you ever meet George Lucas, you can tell him that.
Yep, that got me into that, Peter Cushing. And then they get Christopher Lee, and it's like, yeah. So, no, Kenobi, definitely a winner for me. It looked kind of dodgy for me in the first couple episodes because I think by episode 1 was kind of boring. Episode 2 was interesting, but didn't feel like Star Wars to me. Episode 3, by the end of it, I was back. I was on board fully. The scene with he and Leia talking in the back of that guy's truck, with the stormtroopers and stuff, and then showing Vader just decimating the town to get to him.
Yeah.
At that point, I didn't care what they did. I'm in. Even the trench coat scene, I was still in.
Back to the trench coat scene. It's becoming and somehow Palpatine returned.
Yes.
Well, it's going to replace that, I guess.
They knew the trench coat thing was going to be a problem because they had to. They take the time to establish the trench coat in a scene prior to that. Right. Just showing a random person walking across the screen wearing a trench coat, just so they go, oh, there are trench. Did you know there were trench coats in the Empire? Okay.
Willing suspension of disbelief. It's an important tool to have in your toolkit. Come on.
Yes, it is.
Especially in Star Wars. We're also jaded these days, Dan, that we can't accept a simple, somebody hiding a child with a trench coat, thing. Yeah. Come on.
That was so Marx Brothers for me. Just.
Well, there you go. It's a classic. See,
it absolutely is.
Come on, that's a classic.
It is. I'm a huge fan of the Marx Brothers. So, all right,
I don't understand the problem here.
Well, let's see. Let's look at the contract. Probably the first part.
All right, now you're going too far.
All right, let's go ahead and switch over to Marvel's entry this week, Miss Marvel. We are halfway through the new series.
How are they going to finish it up in only 3 more episodes?
Honestly, that hasn't struck me yet on this one. It doesn't feel like we're getting all this stuff. It feels like they're telling us a nice little family story.
Pretty much.
It just happens to be a superhero on the side. And I'm fine. I'm really enjoying the family stuff.
Yes. I'm not enjoying the teenage stuff, but I'll admit I'm enjoying the family stuff and the culture stuff.
Yeah. I had never heard of the Partition. But that fascinates me.
I knew that I knew about the whole Bangladesh thing or whatever, but not much more past that.
Yeah, I mean, it's not something they teach in high school history or even college, in the college history classes I had. And that's a shame because when I started digging and reading into it, and I need to read more, but
Yeah. You know what I find really interesting is that it's a story about a Muslim family and a Muslim community, but not Arabic, or Middle Eastern. This is
South
they
Asia.
refer to it. Yeah. And that's really interesting because I don't know if a lot of people here think about what people in India are or Pakistan, for that matter. So that's really been hammered home for me. What that part of the world is really like.
Yeah. Got a little message here for you just popped up. It says, "Hi all. Thanks for the stream. I just wanted to say that I just saved Jim's Running Home to Dark Shadows cultural memoir for later, and it looks cool."
Oh, thank you very much. I really appreciate that. I hope you enjoy it. Leave us a review.
Yeah, for any of you who don't know about this, our friend here, a guy named Harry, Jim has just recently published a book called Running Home to Shadows about people of a certain age coming home and watching Dark Shadows after school, and what it meant to their lives and stuff. And Dark Shadows is such a unique chapter of television history because it was basically a supernatural soap opera, and with so many people, they've tried to redo it as a TV show. They did it with Johnny Depp, but it was such a unique show.
Yeah, and when it was on, mattered a lot too. Yeah, it's all of those things, Dan, and the things that they tried and experimented with and got away with today is just amazing. I mean, they actually had an entire storyline derived from H.P. Lovecraft and the Cthulhu mythos, on a daytime soap opera. I mean, and it wasn't like that successful, and is kind of a controversial part of that show, but still it's just amazing that, housewives are watching, this almost invisible menace, from beyond the elder gods and all of that. Yeah. Oh, and they've subjugated a vampire into their ranks. But
I've seen it on rerun. I didn't get to see it when it was airing.
Yeah.
And I would love to have, because I'd come home and my sister was watching General Hospital. So I got pulled into the whole Luke and Laura thing for a long time. And, so had I had the option to come home and watch vampires, that would have been amazing.
And it is an important part of vampire pop culture, that it popularized the idea of a sympathetic vampire. Barnabas is not exactly the very first sympathetic vampire, but it certainly really made that a part of that end of horror culture. It ran for 5 years, 5 days a week for 5 years, and it just became this phenomenon, which, like the book says, that kids ran home from school to watch it, that they couldn't miss it, and that it hit that group too. I mean, it wasn't necessarily meant for children, but they all embraced it. And even though some of them were scared by it, they still raced home, to watch that show.
But you got to remember that children like to be scared.
Right.
I know so many kids who grow up on horror movies and stuff.
Yeah.
But one of the most popular shows is Doctor Who, which was a kids show. And there, you talk to British people and stuff that grew up on it, they would talk about how they watched it from behind the sofa. They'd be popping around looking and then dropping down at the scary parts, and they loved that.
Yeah.
And so a lot of kids liked being scared.
That's funny, because in the introduction I tell the story of my my late wife, who the book is dedicated to, and that was part of her story. Was but before she actually went to school, when she first watched it, she had to take a dining room chair and turn it around, and there was a cutout at the bottom of it before the seat part, and that's how she would watch Dark Shadows. Is she would lean over the seat of the chair and watch it through the gap there, because she loved it, but it was also scary to her.
Yeah. Oh man.
Ms. Marvel.
Miss Marvel, yeah. Well, but yeah, check the book out. It's available on Amazon.
Yes.
And Tim's got a lot of great books out there that do
Thank
those
you.
kind of things. So, and more coming. So,
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's actually become a series now. The first one in the series is about growing up with G.I. Joe, and second one is growing up with Dark Shadows, and the third one will be growing up watching Japanese imported TV shows like Ultraman and
Giant Robot.
Sako and all those different things. So that will be the third one, and that should be out by late summer, early fall.
Yeah, I grew up on Johnny Sacco. All right, let's get back to Miss Marvel.
Okay.
Yeah, some of the things I really like this last episode had that Bollywood style dance number during the wedding.
That's become a thing now, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like now Marvel's like, we need to put this kind of and it's not Marvel's taking a cue from other shows. It's like you have to now have a big dance sequence or music sequence in a show that isn't necessarily anything to do with stuff like that. But I think they were encouraged by the scene in Eternals, so now they have to. Now I'm wondering, like, that's just going to show up everywhere. I suppose there's probably going to be a courtroom dance scene in the She-Hulk show.
Yeah. Well, if they have the Purple Man, he could make it happen.
Yeah.
The boys just had a musical number.
Yeah.
In one of their episodes. And for me, the best use of a musical number, and this is a little off topic, but there's the series The Magicians.
Oh, I read the books. I haven't seen the series, but I love the books.
What caught me in the series is there's a moment early on with Penny, the mind reader guy, and the main character, and I can't remember what's the main. Is it Jason?
It's been a little while. I couldn't tell you any names right now. Breakbill is the name of the school.
Yeah.
I do remember that.
But it's the main guy, and he's got a Taylor Swift song going in his head. And the mind reader comes out of his apartment, comes across the quad, gets in the guy's face, and goes, "I am sick of hearing Taylor Swift. Change the song in your goddamn head." And it's like, okay, well, a couple episodes later, the main character gets trapped in his own mind.
Mm-hmm.
And he's trying to figure out a way to get help. And what he ends up doing is, and he's like trapped in an asylum in his mind.
Mm-hmm.
So during the group session, somebody asks him how he's doing, and he busts into the Taylor Swift song, and there's a dance number. And everybody joins in, and it's this full dance-on number to Taylor Swift. And at the end of it, Penny shows up in his mind to yell at him, and that's how he gets communication out. And it's like,
it's a fad. It's just a fad. It's a passing phase.
Well, to me, that was brilliant use of it.
Yeah.
Because they even set it up a couple episodes earlier.
Yeah.
All right.
It was fun in Ms. Marvel. I appreciated that. One of the things that I appreciated that is if you really watch it, it's not overall very smooth.
Right.
I mean, it's supposed to be people who don't normally do that. It's not like it's a fantasy sequence. It's literally that it's a bunch of normal people who practiced a routine and they were able to do it. But not everybody's at the same level of being able to do it. And that Bruno was involved in it. I don't know if everybody feels this way. Bruno is the entry character for us Westerners, I guess. I mean, I feel that way about Bruno. But I like that how accepted he is by Kamala's family.
Oh yeah, he's
Um,
just one of the family at this point.
yeah, yeah, and especially in in that whole sequence. Otherwise there was something about the tone of episode 3 that I didn't enjoy it the same way I enjoyed the first 2 episodes.
Mhm.
It felt slow at some points, and I think it's part of it is that the more or less fun-loving Kamala, is it Kamala or I know there's a whole discussion
Kamala.
between Kamala, um, is it, like she's been taken out of that and now it's in a much more serious mode, and she had to learn this whole thing about the jinn, and suddenly she's not the sort of goofy teenager. I don't know, there was a tonal shift, and for some reason I didn't enjoy it. It was almost as if I almost thought that would have come later in the show. Maybe I don't know. I
Yeah,
don't know. I mean, again, it's not like I dislike it or anything. It just was a little. It was a little odd for me this time.
yeah, I could see that. I mean, but she has that moment where she's being chased by the DODC,
Mm-hmm.
and then they show up at the mosque.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of reality getting to her.
I
So
guess that's what. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's what it's supposed to be. So maybe I'm feeling exactly the way they intended, to me to feel.
yeah,
And here it's funny because I was complaining earlier about I didn't like all the teenage stuff, and you know what? If we never have another mention of tampons in the show, I'll be okay with that. Jeez. Sorry, but and then there wasn't really that much of that teenage stuff in this third one, and here's me going like, I almost kind of missed it a little bit.
yeah, I forgot about that. ABC passed on Damage Control series a few years back. Hopefully, this version of the DC team will appear in various Disney Plus shows moving forward. Yeah, I think.
Oh,
I mean, we've already
I had
gotten them.
forgotten. Yeah.
Yeah, we've already gotten them in Spider-Man: No Way Home. They're
Mm.
showing up here. They were in most of the Spider-Man movies, so I think they'll be popping up here and there.
I wish it could be the damage control from the comics that they do, of what that group does, because honestly that would have made a very interesting series, and maybe someday we can have a group that does that cleanup
Yeah,
job thing. um I know that they don't always use things the way they are in the comics, and they take names from one thing and you know what? That sort of happened in this one, the clandestine.
yeah,
Yeah. And not a lot of people got that, from what I understand, that they had already forgotten that there was a very short-lived group in the Marvel universe called the clandestine.
Well, there was one character in the clandestine, Adam, and then one of the guys in this group is named Adam.
Yeah,
One
yeah.
who actually
And
owns
there
the
was a
house.
djinn, right?
Yeah, there's supposed to be. There was a Jinn, and these
Yeah.
are all supposed to be Jinn.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of curious how this is going to play out. But at this point, I really don't feel like the bad guys are anything to care about yet.
I agree, or maybe we haven't really seen the real baddie. I mean, this is another Marvel trope now, or cliche, that maybe we haven't really seen the actual menace, that it's going to have to be when she goes to Pakistan, I assume. um Shoot, I lost my train of thought. It was so when we're being told the different names that the jinn are known by, were you like me that you thought any moment she was going to say Inhuman?
I was thinking Kree. I don't think they're going to mention the Inhumans.
I if there was any moment I thought, but I thought they might have said it and then
Yeah.
just moved on from it, but they didn't. But it really surprised me when she said clandestine and then the unseen, because that's in Marvel Comics, that's been used how many different times for different things in the
Hell, all the
comics.
way back to the 50s, there was an alien group. Yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, Harry's right. The best line in it was, "I'm a Jinn." And tonic. Yeah. Again, I thought, hell, I think one of the most interesting things is probably the fact that when they're getting the bangle in the beginning, back in the 40s,
Mm-hmm.
on the ground,
Yeah.
is the symbol of the 10 rings.
Yeah.
It's like, I wonder, does that mean that this is going to tie into the 10 rings? Not just the group, but the actual physical 10 bands.
If you look closely, there was the symbol of Mephisto in that scene too.
It's all connected.
Yes. Well, but it is. I mean, this is all leading somewhere.
Yeah. Well, Kevin Feige has said recently that the plans for Phase 4 and 5 are going to start becoming much clearer very soon.
Yeah.
Well, I think by the end of this series, we'll get a good idea of what the Marvels is going to be, and that I think we're going to find out that the Jinn are Kree, like an early version of the Kree.
Yeah.
And that's what they're trying to get home.
Yeah. A shout out to the Screen Crush crew that does their Easter egg videos. Ryan, sometimes I like the things that he comes up with, and sometimes he comes up with some really dumb things. He literally came out and said that he did not think that hand or arm they found was Kree. You know, it had blue skin.
Yeah.
You know, and it was some weird kind of off the wall theory, and I just shook my head. So Ryan, no, I don't agree.
Yeah, I think he compared him to the actual Jinn, like from Aladdin.
From Aladdin. It's like no, it's a Kree. Come on, you know, it's like the Kree is the whole big thing going on here. You know, stop that.
I mean, unless they're going to have one like the Adam guy walking. I have such a crick in the neck.
10,000 years. Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, it is Disney, so.
This is the first Marvel series that I really don't have theories for. I mean, I think it's going to be Kree, yeah, but it's just kind of laying out, you know.
That's cool. Yeah, I mean, why not? You know, why not have one like that?
Yeah,
I don't have the investment in this character, and so. It feels like all new ground to me, and I'm just I'm hoping we get just a good story, good characters, and then it's also then a part of the bigger picture by the end.
Yep, I figured the big finale will find out that she is Kree, that she's going to be helping Captain Marvel, and Cameron will actually call Bruno. That'll be the
think. I don't know if you can hope for. I don't know if we can hope for that. Didn't he mess up? Did Bruno mess up his name at one point, or was I imagining that?
I don't think so. I think it's all been him calling Bruno Brian.
Okay, because he should call him Cameron. You know, Cameron.
Yeah. So, or at some point he'll go, wait, who's Bruno? So, all right. I think we're good. That was, I think we caught up.
And real quick to Harry. Yes, Star Blazers. There will be somebody talking about Star Blazers in the Japanese TV show book. Sorry, I just had to get that in there.
Yeah. A Dan Ketch Ghost Rider series on Hulu. I'm all for a Dan Ketch series. I don't think anything needs to go to Hulu anymore. They can just stay on Disney Plus. I think they're done with the Hulu stuff. I'm all for more Ghost Rider, whether it's Danny Ketch, if they bring back Gabriel from Ghost Rider, or from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., or if we get an actual Johnny Blaze.
Johnny Blaze.
So
it was hinted at in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. that there was the other guy that was a Ghost Rider and passed it along. Yep. You know, so
I'm looking forward to the Halloween special because I have a feeling where it's supposed to be Werewolf by Night. We might get other hints at the supernatural and move forward from there. But we will see.
Man thing.
Yes. Ghost Rider, Man Thing.
Marvel's Dracula.
All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. I will be talking all this week on the Dan Wickline Show. I should definitely be there. We'll do Kenobi on Monday, The Boys on Tuesday, and Miss Marvel on Wednesday. And I'll probably do some more defense of Morbius at some point in there as well.
You're risking your entire audience, Dan.
I posted it on Facebook, and Twitter, and no one has come at me about it.
Okay.
So
enough time has passed, I guess.
Yeah, I think you ought to watch it, Jim. But
okay.
All right, guys.
Maybe I will.
Thank you all. Have a great week, and we will